Hey guys, we are at Daniel Boone Historic Village today. He wore buckskin, he carried a long rifle, and he carved a path through the wilderness that would shape America forever. His name? Daniel Boone. But the legend you think you know isn't the whole story. Tonight, we go beyond the coonskin cap, tall tales, into the real reasons Boone left North Carolina, the truth about his family, and the frontier forces that pushed them west. Because Daniel Boone didn't just chase the venture, he was running from something. Daniel Boone was born in 1734 in Pennsylvania to Squire and Sarah Boone, a deeply religious Quaker family. The Boones valued simplicity, pacifism, and community discipline. But Daniel, he loved the woods more than the meeting house. By age 12, he was already an expert hunter. The forest wasn't wilderness to him, it was home. In 1750, the Boone family moved south to the Yadkin River Valley in North Carolina. The land was fertile, game was plentiful, it was frontier, but still civilized enough, at least at first. The 1750s brought the French and Indian War. Daniel Boone served as a wagoner under British General Edward Braddock. At the disastrous Battle of Monongahela, Boone barely escaped with his life. He saw British arrogance, frontier vulnerability, native resistance to westward expansion. That war hardened him, and it revealed something critical. The future of America would move west. In the late 1760s, North Carolina exploded with political unrest. Small farmers, including many in Boone's region, were fed up with corrupt sheriffs, excess taxes, colonial officials abusing power. This uprising became the Regulator Movement. It culminated in a violent battle of armaments. While Boone wasn't a known leader, he lived among the Regulators. The region became unstable. For a man who valued independence over politics, it was time to go. After the French and Indian War, Britain issued the Royal Proclamation of 1763 to forbade colonial settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains. To Daniel Boone, this wasn't law, it was a challenge. Beyond those mountains lay Kentucky, rich hunting grounds claimed by native nations and restricted by Britain. Boone had already explored it secretly in the late 1760s. He called it a hunter's paradise. Here's where the legend gets murky. Most people think Boone left North Carolina simply because he loved adventure, but the truth is far more complicated. By the 1760s, land in North Carolina was filling up. Speculators drove up prices, property disputes were rampant. Boone himself was repeatedly sued over land claims. He struggled financially, often selling property at a loss. Daniel So across
Boone
the
was
way,
not
you
a
can see
wealthy
the
land
chapel.
baron.
We're gonna
He was
work our way
often
around
broke.
though and get over to
Over
it here in
time,
just a little
the
bit. We're
Boones
not gonna go
drifted from
straight
strict
over.
Quaker
But
life.
I'll
Daniel
do a walk
especially
over
rejected
and
pacifism.
see if we can get
He
inside.
believed in
Talk to you guys soon.
self-defense and carried a rifle everywhere. The Boone family was already culturally separating from their past. Moving west was both physical and ideological. 1769, Boone led an expedition through the Cumberland Gap, a natural mountain pass. This path would later become the Wilderness Road. In 1775, with backing from the land speculator Richard Henderson, Boone helped establish Boonesboro. It was one of the first American settlements in Kentucky. But it wasn't empty land. It was claimed and hunted by the Shawnee, Cherokee, and other native nations. Conflict was inevitable. During the American Revolutionary War, Kentucky became a violent battleground. In 1778, Boone was captured by Shawnee warriors. He was adopted into the tribe by Chief Backfish. He lived among them for months. Many historians believe Boone respected native culture deeply, most more than frontiersmen. But when he learned of a planned attack on Boonesboro, he escaped, traveling 160 miles in days to warn settlers. The fort survived, and his legend grew. Daniel Boone and his wife Rebecca had 10 children. Frontier life was brutal. Their son James Boone was killed in 1773 during an early attempt to settle Kentucky. Other children endured constant relocation, Indian raids, and economic instability. Boone's wanderlust shaped his family's fate. Rebecca Boone is often overlooked, but she endured years of uncertainty while Daniel disappeared into the wilderness. Here's the twist. The man who opened Kentucky never truly owned it. Boone's land claims were entangled in legal chaos. Poor record-keeping and overlapping claims left him financially ruined again. By the 1790s, Kentucky was no longer frontier. It was crowded, civilized, regulated. Sound familiar? In 1799, Boone, now in his 60s, moved again, this time to Spanish-controlled Missouri. He settled near present-day St. Charles. Ironically, even there, after the Louisiana Purchase, American authorities questioned his legal rights. Boone died in 1820 at age 85. He never stopped moving west. In the 1800s, writers turned Boone into a mythical hero. He became the symbol of manifest destiny, the embodiment of rugged individualism. But the real Daniel Boone, he was often broke, frequently sued, politically quiet, deeply family-oriented, restless to his core. He didn't conquer the wilderness, he moved through it. All right, we are headed over to the barn and stable, and then up to the Peace Chapel, then up to another couple of cabins, and I don't know if we're going to get to go inside the Boone home or not. It's under construction, so we'll see what happens when we get up there. Anyway, we are at a barn here, and we're going to check it out real quick. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like an old bellows, but I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know. I'm interested to hear what it is. And there's an old push cart. Looks like it came out of something from Mighty Python. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Well, unfortunately, for some reason today, we can't get into any buildings, but that's okay, because we will come back. Curious as to know what this little dude is. Somebody let me know. Looks like we got a little wine press going here. Haven't seen one of those in ages. Let me know if I'm correct. Nestled upon the rolling hills of Missouri historic wine country and overlooking the Femme Osage Valley, this beautiful setting represents life in the early 1800s and brings the legacy of Daniel Boone to life. Journey back to another time and relive the adventures, dangers, and joyous events of the famous American long hunter and pioneer, Daniel Boone. Visit the home where he lived in his last years and learn the history of his legacy folk hero. The nearly 300-acre site, which includes historic home, adjoining historic village grounds, and surrounding property, St. Charles County continues to operate the historic park as a tourist site. The village is comprised of 16 buildings that have been moved to the property within 50 miles of the site. Each building dates back to the 1800s. The general store, schoolhouse, grist mill offer a peak life into the Missouri frontier. Collectively, the buildings represent a pioneer village of that time period. Built in New Melly during the 19th century, the Old Peace Chapel and the Grand Pavilion offers a beautiful historic wedding venue for your big day in St. Charles County. Standing as the centerpiece of the village, this stunning building stands as a living testament to the fine craftsmanship and detail of the town's early builders. Imagine saying I do's in this luminous white church, the light streaming in from the expansive windows throughout the sanctuary. You will have the storybook wedding of your dreams in this charming church, built in the 1800s, and nestled among the quaint village in our historic park. The surrounding lush green lawns and finely manicured shrubs create an idyllic backdrop for traditional wedding photos. Celebrate your union in the Grand Pavilion in the historic Daniel Boone Home, which is nestled in historic Missouri wine country. The spacious outdoor facility is expansive enough for even the most elaborate occasions, offering interesting details like a wood beam ceilings and a large wooden fireplace. Magnificent views of the historic village, combining timeless elegance and rustic charm. The Daniel Boone Home is a historic site in Defiance, Missouri. The house was built by Daniel Boone's youngest son, Nathan Boone, who lived there with his family until they moved further south in 1837. The Boones had moved there from Kentucky in late 1799. Nathan later said, "In the summer of 1800, I erected a good substantial log house, and several years later, after I replaced it with a commodious stone building. My father, Daniel Boone, built himself a shop and had a set of tools, and when at home, he would make and repair traps and guns. In fact, he He did all the needed smith work for the family and sometimes for neighbors to oblige them. But after a few years, he disposed of his tools. Daniel and his wife Rebecca lived primarily with their son Nathan from at least 1804 to 1813, and then for much of the time from late 1816 to his death in 1820. Daniel's move to Nathan's place is recorded in an official document from 1806 to the Federal Land Commission concerning Daniel's original unsettled land grant. Colonel D. Boone states to the board that on his arrival in Louisiana, he took up his residence with his lady at his son's Daniel Boone's in the district of Femme Osage and adjoining the lands he now claims. That they remained there until about 2 years ago when he moved to a younger son's, Nathan Boone, where he now lives. It is proved that the said claimant is the age of about 70 years and his wife about 68. Daniel did at times visit the Callaway family near Marthasville, the family of his daughter Jemima, and did so in the summer of 1820. Nathan describes the final events of Daniel's life. During the whole summer of 1820, he was at the Callaways. He had an attack of fever, not severe, and while recovering was exceedingly anxious to be taken to my house. Finally, I took him back in a carriage. He died on the morning of September 26, 1820, about sunrise the 14th day after his arrival here. So why did they really leave North Carolina? Not for one reason, but for 5 powerful forces: land scarcity and lawsuits, political unrest, the regulator conflict, British restrictions on westward expansion, cultural break from the Quaker roots, Daniel Boone's restless personality. Boone wasn't just chasing an adventure, he was escaping instability, seeking economic survival, resisting authority, and following opportunity. The American frontier wasn't just geography, it was an idea. Daniel Boone once said, "I have never been lost, but I was bewildered once for 3 days." Maybe that sums him up perfectly. Not lost, just always looking for the next horizon. And that is why he left North Carolina. All right, folks, we just finished up the Daniel Boone Historic Village. Really neat place. Said it was open, but none of the buildings were open, so we didn't get to go inside. I tried to get a couple of sneak peeks through the window, so we'll see how that turns out. But really cool place. Every year it gets bigger and bigger. So if you want to come out here, it's out by Defiance, Missouri, off of Highway 94. It's out in the country, so it takes about 45 minutes from my house, so not too bad. But they've done a lot of stuff here, so it's really cool. Looks like you can have family reunions or conference, banquet, weddings. They got a nice pavilion set up, and it's got indoor and outdoor setting for it, and that's pretty much it. So anyway, we're gonna get out of here and head back. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace out, and like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.